Thanks, Eggy. I think you were trying to define the startup roller coaster there, were you, buddy? Um, Everyone, I'm like the backup singer, right? I know everyone's here for two people, and it's not me. So I'm going to be short and sweet. I'm going to try and get to the punch really, really quickly, which my wife would be really happy with that because she thinks that I'm not really good at getting to the punch. And I'm not sure about anyone else, but I've never been to a meetup without beer and pizza. So I'm having a beer. Anyone else wants a beer, feel free to join me. Virtual beers as well. Yeah, as I said, thanks for having us, Eggy. It's a great honour actually for Eggy to be here. And I don't have any slides. I'm better ad lib. I'm great with Q&A. In my experience, as I said to Eggy before this event, my experience with engineers and people with technical skills always want to learn about how to build a business. So I thought that my time would be best spent leaving all the technical stuff for the lads because I know nothing, and talking more around how we come up with the idea, the light bulb moments, and the progression to get where we are today. Yeah, so like I'm better ad lib with Q&A. Why we're here, like I really want to sort of talk about what we are and what we're not, right? So we've been in market for 12 months. We are working on the retention problem at Eggy, and Kelvin will go into a little bit more about the technical challenges with that. But over the next 6 months, we're pushing hard towards hard launch and commercialization. What we found really hard when we started building Eggy, myself and my wife, was finding people who are in the action, like right now, because everyone knows that technology moves so fast. People move so fast. Funding strategies move so fast. And we really found it hard to find people at this stage right now who wanted to talk to us. At Eggy, we have really big values around opening up and building transparency into our communities because we feel it's just great to build a tech community on the Gold Coast, Brisbane. We just want to open up and share the love. So that's the values of Team Eggy, and that's why we're here. I'm not kidding myself about, again, Kelvin and Yuris will touch more on our target market, but our ideal customer profile is a busy mum, 35 to 44. So I'm not here saying that, Eggy is going to revolutionize everyone in this audience today. Although I'm biased, I think that if you use Eggy, you will see the magic and you'll never be able to live without it. I use it probably 8 to 10 times a day, and I'm a proud power user. So again, this is why I want to just keep it really short and sweet, and we go to question time and you can ask me anything. Eggy started from our own problem. We hated life admin. It was a shit show. And we really wanted to find something that would work. Our pain was in trying to search for a product, and we couldn't find anything. So we run the idea past a really good friend of ours, Pete Cassidy, who's an owner and founder of a company called Stackler, which was just acquired, and the deal got done yesterday, actually. And we just thought we had no idea about technology. We had no idea. We'd never done this before. This is our first rodeo. What do we need to do? And that's how it started. The pain for us was around life admin. Like, everyone's got cluttered email inboxes. We've got cluttered, albums on our phones. We've got multiple cloud drives. It was just a shit show. We'd literally taken our filing cabinet. I had 3 Dropbox accounts. It just wasn't working. There was something missing between calendars, storage, and insights. And that for us, along with looking at some, reading some research on a neuroscientist called Stephen Levitin, The Organized Mind. He really helped us articulate what the problem was. So from there, we literally did 3 to 4 months of research. My wife did her PhD, so her game is research. Again, we just focused on the problem. It wasn't about the solution, the technology. It wasn't about that at the start. It was about sitting down with people who look after life admin and try and understand what the problem was. And we went from there. We built use cases and sort of had an idea of what a potential technical solution would look like. So yeah, that's how it all started. We formed the biggest thing we did was form an advisory board. So we formed an advisory board. We had the idea, we scoped the problem, we scoped potential commercial models before we even raised $1. We knew that our solution was a tech solution, that it would be B2C initially with a B2B commercialization strategy. So we knew that we had to raise funds, we needed money. So raising funds, another story in itself. We made sure that we had the team. We put the team together with the advisory board, the people, the technologies, and the commercial strategy to raise our first round, which was around a campfire. And you know what? Everyone that got on the first round, it was people that hated life admin. again, I could talk for hours about stories about raising funds with people who are engaged, investors who are engaged in what you're trying to do, engaging the person and not the money. It's not about that. You know, if they can help and especially fill gaps in what you're trying to do with your strategy, that's the key. So yeah, we ripped in there. We put together a team, raised funds. Long story short, we built some tech. We won a 3 months with Suncorp in a digital incubator. We spent 3 months with a lot of their enterprise architects and their SMAs and learned a lot about the enterprise value that we could bring in the future. We left there with confidence. We got in market in May last year. We've ripped in TAN and we have done the hard yards for over 12 months. And Kelvin will go a bit more into the technology side of things. But we've just learned and we've learned, and you know, a lot of this learning, I have to thank my wife and co-founder and co-CEO, Katie Morgan. She has spoken to every single user. She collates all the feedback, and we have just worked it into our development iteration models. Again, we can talk more about, if there's any questions on that, please hit me up. Kelvin will talk a little bit on that as well. Yeah, so we've been in market. Obviously, Kelvin, we've rebuilt the apps. We're in on Android now at the moment, and we're going hard. We're ripping hard towards commercialization, and things are looking good for Team Eggy. Righto, question time. This is the bit I love, and Eggy can come in here.
Yeah. So I'll start first. So I think like Kevin will like talk about Flutter later on, but from you, like from your perspective, I just want to know, did you start with Flutter, or if you didn't, why did you choose to like transform to use Flutter?
So what was the question there, mate? Did we start with Flutter?
Yeah, did you start your app line with Flutter? If you didn't, why did you choose to use Flutter for your apps?
No, we didn't start with Flutter, Anki. That's a good question, actually. We started with iOS native for a couple of reasons. One, you know, one of our first people on the team, Bruno, and I know he's probably a member of the app community here, and Rafa. Bruno especially had a lot of iOS experience, but also we had most of the research we'd done. Our target market was on iOS. So yeah. I guess given having Bruno on the coast, a native iOS developer, and we really struggled as non-tech founders. We really struggled, and we understand that challenge now. That it's so hard to understand, to build tech strategies, how to even wrap your head around that. So, but we always pushed to action, Eggy. So, like it probably wasn't the ideal thing to do, but we just went because with what this, you know, at the time it was the skills versus, you know, our target market. And then we went on iOS. But then I guess while we were on iOS, we saw the advantages and disadvantages of being native, which sort of culminated with Kelvin coming on board, and we, you know, really sat down and assessed the pros and cons, and yeah, we haven't looked back since we went to Flutter.
Cool. I think yeah, you touched on the second question I wanted to ask. Like, you started this like tech business, but you don't really have like this tech background. How does it work for you, or what did you do to make sure like it works? Yeah.
Well, the first thing that I got to say to anyone who's non-technical, even people, even like there's a lot of technical people here. What's your gap? If you've got a gap, you need advisory. You need people who have been there and done it, and that's what we did. We found people who built and scaled $1 million tech companies. We got a tech advisor on our board, and he helped us, mate. So that's how we sort of attacked that challenge, and he taught us from the start. And I think people, this is where a lot of tech companies we've found go wrong. The tech advisor said to us, it's all about people. So yeah, we just focused on the people aspect, and we knew that was our strength. You know, myself and Katie come from high performance environments, and we know what it's like to create a high performing team. So we tried to really focus on people, and we had faith knowing that if we stuck to the problem, we were purpose driven, that we'd bring together the team that we needed to bring together.
Cool. So the next question is like, when did you know you had product market fit?
Oh, isn't that a big magic word that everyone throws around? Product market fit. Like, mate, you know, we honestly, we still don't have it. Like, you know, I think most companies are fighting the retention game. We're just trying to optimize our product now before we switch on revenue and do our hard launch. So that's what we're optimizing at the moment. Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, obviously people have, you know, growth, organic and paid acquisition metrics that they want to talk about with product market fit. But you know what, we kept it really simple. You know, this one thing that I've seen in this industry, in my opinion, everyone over engineers everything and they complicate everything. So we stuck to, let's get one Eggy power user and let's see how we go. Let's get their feedback. Let's talk to them and let's go. And now, you know, we're up to nearly 1,000 power users, as you know, 500 to 1,000 power users in any given month. And you know, that's just started from trying to get 2 or 3 people to use the app. So we're not trying to answer your question, mate, we're not worried about the whole PMF metric fit. We're just worried about making one person that can't live without Eggy, and then we'll go to the next one.
Yeah, I think that's a good strategy. So the next question is, like, when you were raising, how many no's did it take before your first yes?
This is probably the most embarrassing thing that I've experienced in my life. Because we had a great advisory board who had contacts, and I walked into VC boardrooms in Sydney everywhere, and they just laughed at me. Like, I mean, I was an ex-professional athlete who'd done some economics and finance and some other contracting stuff. And, you know, Katie is a dietitian in food science and did a PhD in dietetics, you know, so we got lots of laughs and lots of knockbacks. But I guess coming from that high performance environment, like, that stuff makes me more keen. But the best thing about it was I was learning. You know, I was sitting in front of VCs and they were telling me what they thought our commercial strategy is. They were basically telling me everything, you know, everything I should be writing in a commercial plan, business plans. Every no I learned so much. We all learned so much, and it's got us to where we are ultimately today. So yeah, it was really tough at the start, but then the biggest thing we learned too was it was engagement. You know, investors are human. They're not robots. And I think you need to find people who are engaged in what you're doing, in the problem that you're solving, and thinking about how they can add to your team rather than the money. And that was another massive learning lesson. You know, I went down to Sydney thinking about just closing cash. We need to get X amount of dollars. You really have to think about, you know, be strategic about who you want to bring onto your investment team. So yeah, it was a massive learning, mate. But you know, that's the goal.
Yeah, yeah. I think the start is always the most difficult part, and yeah, it's so inspiring that you guys have got through it. We go to the next question. What was your background before Eggy?
So my background before Eggy, I was a professional athlete for about 10 years. I played the wonderful rugby league. I don't know if anyone knows that game. Queensland's going to smash New South Wales in the State of Origin on Sunday. Yeah, and after we finished backpack around the world, I worked in construction for a little while as low-level project management. I went back to uni and studied commerce, economics and finance. And I did some currency trading on the side. So yeah, like I've always been interested in economic theory and markets. So that's sort of my background. Katie's background, she did a lot of study. She was obviously a dietitian by trade. She worked for a great company in Sydney, and then she went back to uni, come to Bond and helped set up the dietetics program at Bond University on the Gold Coast. And then she actually went back and did her PhD while having children. We've got 2 kids, and a little surprise on the way, another one on the way. So that's our background.
Okay, nice. The next question, how did you find your advisors?
So we found our advisors. There was a methodical approach for what, you know, like, I guess being a trader and Katie's thoughts around risk, you know, we really wanted to mitigate our risk. It's not like we had a light bulb moment and we put it all on the line. We've sold everything up now and we're all in, where there's no plan B. But we took a really methodical approach to get to that point, you know. So when we had the idea around Eggy, what we wanted to do was look for a product first to find something that could suit our needs. And I have a really good mate, Pete Cassidy. As I mentioned before, he's built and scaled and exited now a startup, a technology company. And Katie and myself were like, okay, we put some designs together after he couldn't find a product that did what it did, and we put it together and we just said, what do you think? And yeah, he got back to us because we both said, you know, we need to form an advisory board. We don't have any technical experience in, you know, product or technology. And so we needed an advisory board to help build those gaps. And we knew that if we needed to raise funds, that investors needed to see that. So we needed to go to investment on our first round and know that we've got an advisory board to fill the gaps. You know, we've got us to drive the vision and you know, and the team and the product, and then we've got, you know, technology. So Yeah, I hope that answers, mate. But it was a methodical approach. So first thing was product. Like we made the assumption that if we could build anything, do we have a market? You know, everyone talks about addressable markets, but it's so important. Like if you can build anything, but if you don't have distribution, if you don't have someone to give it to, and who wants to ultimately pay for your service, you're never going to get traction. So for us, it was about one, making sure we answered that question. And then Pete, once we had the product sort of side sorted, he introduced us to a technical advisor who had built and scaled startups. Again, that's so important. Finding people to give you advice who have been there and done that. Theory is so different to applied knowledge. It's so important to find people with experience. Yeah, so we got a technical advisor, and then he tipped us on to head of security at Atlassian, Dan Grzelak. Went down and spoke to him and told it, and he got on our advisory board as well. Again, it was just that methodical approach. That's how we built the advisory board.
So how many people are in your advisory board?
We only have 3 at the moment. So we've got a product, a tech, and a security advisor.
Okay. The next question. So I know that you have your own tech team. So why did you choose to have like your own tech team instead of like engaging with a tech company to develop the software?
Oh man, this again. I've read 10,000 hours of books that because these are the decisions you need to make when you have an idea and you want to go to market, especially as a non-tech founder. The people with experience that we spoke to always said you need to build your team. If you want to create magic, I mean, there's life cycles of the journey, you know, like if you need to get the prototype out early, you know, an agency makes sense, you know, get something out in market, get designs, test it. You need to test as soon as you can. However that answers the question for you, you find a way. But ultimately, if you're looking to build a long-term sustainable, you know, business, all the research we did from the experts, we employ at Eggy Wisdom of the Crowds. I don't know if anyone's read the book. One of the greatest books I've ever read. But it helps you fast track your experience. You know, by talking to all these world experts, it can fast track your experience in 6 months quickly. And we need to do that as non-technical founders, you know. And everyone said, if you want the magic, if you want to create something that makes an impact all over the world, you need to create your own tech team. And coming from high performance, like if you want to create magic and everything, you need to bring together a special group of people. Full stop. That's it. Like, I don't care what anyone says, mate. Like, you have to bring together a special group of people. Otherwise, the magic doesn't get created. You know, everyone who's on the same path, you're looking at the same goals, you got the same objectives. You have to do that. You live and breathe it. It becomes an obsession. You know, that's what has to happen. I don't know if someone can tell me how. I don't know how you produce magic without that. But
Okay, cool.
I hope that answered it.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I think like some startups, like they just want someone to build this product so they can like release it and test it. But I think you guys like have your own tech team. I think it indicates like you guys have a decent size, decent market, so which is like, so you are capable of doing that, I guess.
That's what I'm saying, Eggy, but it's horses for courses, right? If you need to test, you need to get something out quickly. Go and find a contractor, go and find a devs agency as quickly as you can, right? But as I said, if you're looking to build a long-term sustainable, like if you've got no plan B, like we see so many pretenders in the market who've got ideas. Oh yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to go to a devs agency. Yeah, we're going to do this. But mate, when you see the work, like come and visit us at Eggy and see the work that goes into the product, the discovery, the release, you know, the iterate, the study of the analytics. Like, mate, it's so intense and it's so involved. And I don't know how you get that by separating that. Like I'm talking after you've released in market, you have some power users that are retained, they're using your product. I'm talking about that next phase. Yeah. I'm not sort of talking about getting in market, you know, like you just got to do what you got to do. You got to scrap. You just got to scrap and put it together and find what you need to do to get it done.
Yeah, cool. The next question you might have like answered 1,000 times. So why did you call it Eggy? Eggy
is like, my wife takes credit for even the fashion. Like she would have bought this. I don't know if she's watching. She's on. She would have bought this jumper. Like she's got the greatest taste I've seen in a human being. And we were looking for, you know, again, mate, like this is another conversation that we could have: branding and identity, driving product direction. We searched for ages to find something, a name, like, and she could probably tell you some of the terrible names that I threw up. They're just as bad as my jokes. But like she just one day she said, Eggy, Life Unscrambled. And it was just like, wow, that just wrapped up everything. And then we pushed hard to trademark the brand and everything, and which we're just about to wrap up. And yeah, it just sums up everything about us, you know, the egg, life in an egg. And even though she doesn't like the egg analogies, but that's how it come apart, mate. Like, I wish I could give a really cool story about that, but Katie just had a light bulb moment, and the egg was born.
No, I think it's a good name. Like, it really caught like people's attention. Yeah. Cool. I think that's the last question from us and also from the audience as well. Do you have some like final words to say to the audience?
No, thanks for having us. Guys, like I don't know if there's anyone out there, but we were in a painful position for a long time. Like, we just could not find anyone to help us in our vision and our mission, you know. So like, and the hardest thing was too, the people that we did find to help, no one had runs on the board. No one wasn't doing what we wanted to do. Reach out, guys. Like, you'll see our links. So just hit me on my LinkedIn profile. You see our links. You know, we do, and we're really keen to open up and, you know, build the tech community on the Gold Coast and Brizzy as well. Don't hesitate to reach out. You know, we were there once too, and we always made it a mission of ours. It was to help. If we ever got to the point where we could help, we'd do it. So don't be strangers. Don't be strangers. Always love a beer on a Wednesday afternoon after work.
Cool. Yeah, I think I would like to hear how you convince like Kelvin and Iris to join your team. I know they are the best like devs, and I think they are really good at their jobs. I think yes, you are really lucky that you got them in your team. Yeah.
Mate, and I'll let them tell you why they joined. You know, that's the one thing I learned about culture in high performing teams is, mate, anyone that's got it stuck on the wall, they're lying. You know, culture is intangible, and yeah, I'll let them tell you why they're here, mate. I'm not going to talk for them.